Today we have an exclusive interview to share with our listeners, as well as some news on the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing. All that and more right now. Welcome to episode 71 of the Republic Brothers podcast. He's Matt, I'm Mike, and today is July 8th. Please hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss our next episode. Now, we're starting off today's show with our interview with Logan Harris. He's the CEO and founder of Spotter Global, and his company just announced a brand new technology today that we're going to talk about with him. Take a listen. All right, today we are joined by Logan Harris. He is the founder and CEO of Spotter Global. Logan, welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about you and the company?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on. So a little bit about me. I'm kind of an engineer by training, entrepreneur by necessity, I would say. I started out doing all kinds of different things in my career. I've done, internet businesses. I've developed mass spectrometers, home automation systems. But the latest thing I've been doing for like the last 26 years now is radar. And I kind of got into what I'm doing now because of 9/11. So during 9/11, I was working for this other company. We were developing these small radar systems for monitoring traffic flow on the freeways and the highways. And also now they're at your intersections as well. So if you'll see these little white boxes that are looking across the, up on a pole looking across the freeway, they're radars that are monitoring traffic flow. And they're, sending their information back to the Department of Transportation saying, you got congestion here. This is how many cars have gone by, that type of thing. And then, when 9/11 happened, started to get all these requests coming out from the, Defense Department saying, how can we defend how can we defend the U.S. better? And so we started looking for applications for lightweight, small radar systems. And so myself and one of the other RF engineers started this company building a radar that flies on a drone that scans, does like a side fire scan and creates images out of radio waves. And so instead of optical, it's radio waves, and using radar. It's called synthetic aperture radar. And the military really likes that because it can see through fog and rain and snow and all that kind of stuff. And then DARPA, because this guy from DARPA saw what we were doing with that and said, well, if you can build a 2-pound SAR, why not do a 1 or 2 pound synthetic aperture radar or ground surveillance radar? And so that's what we did. We actually built this ground surveillance radar system, and I'll show you a little picture of it here, and up on a outpost. So right here in the center, this was our first deployments with Special Forces. It was SOCOM. They were doing these village stability operations in Iraq and Afghanistan, where they'd put a group of Navy SEALs or Army Rangers out in these villages, and they're in this little outpost out there on their own, just a small group, and they were using our radar, which could track people, 3,000 feet away, not quite a mile, but pretty close, and give you precise GPS location of where the target is. And then they would sloop cameras and alert the soldiers, okay, you got somebody coming in, you need to get prepared. And that's how we got started with doing ground surveillance radar. And in fact, we created a whole new category of radar that we call compact surveillance radar. And then that became compact security radar, which happened in 2013 as we pivoted just from doing military to also critical infrastructure because of attack against this substation in California in 2013. So that's how we got into that, and it's kind of gone for there.
Okay, well, moving to today, I think I saw something today. You guys just released something new today. SnapTrack, is that what I saw?
Oh, yeah, you did see that. Let's see if I can share. I'll show you a live feed of that. If we've got not anybody over around at the moment. but I'm sure somebody will be walking around here shortly. So yes, we released the patent pending SnapTrack feature, which is well, I'm going to try to show you something. Okay, it's better. I'll describe it for those who are just listening, but also show you so those who are seeing can actually see it here. Because seeing is always believing, or at least easier to believe. So let me share this with you. So what I'm showing is the graphical user interface. It's a web-based user interface, and instead of having like a wall, camera wall, of all these different video feeds that the guards have to look at, now it's just on a map, and you can see multiple tracks simultaneously. Instead of using an icon like this, when we get the camera on target and we have video AI identify the target, like in this case, now we can see and we display it live, where it's kind of like a picture-in-picture on the map that follows where the exact position of where the target is, and you can see multiple simultaneously. So when we get somebody live here, I'll switch over to a live section and show you what that looks like. This is in history mode, so you can see all the different tracks, the targets, the different people who went here, correlated to their actual geographical or GPS coordinates. And that's SnapTrack. That's a brand new thing. Nobody's ever really seen that before.
That's really cool. Is that something that, I'm sure that's applied with the military as well. I'm sure they have something that's similar to that. Is this kind of just like a security, or?
And does this track things like drones as well?
Absolutely. It tracks. So it depends on the sensor you're using. We have a variety of different sensors, both radar as well as drone ID sensors to pick up drones, but also our radars pick up drones. But we pick up all of this data from these different sensors, and then it all comes together into what we call a command and control software, which is what I'm showing you here. This is the command and control software that has the map and then puts the position of the different targets. What is unique about this is how we're displaying it, both with a lot of times in the military side, it's just an icon. They just give you an icon like this. What we've done is we developed the kind of like technique to show you the path, or the tail, as we call it. You can see where they went here, with a line that extends out of where the icon is. And then the new thing that we've done is in real time, put the live video feed right there at its position on the map. And I haven't even seen any military systems that do that.
And the video feed of it, that'll move with the person.
Exactly.
As they're moving along. That's
very cool.
Yeah. So I'm going to see here. Okay. We got somebody moving. So you'll see the radar picks it up, cues the camera on target. Boom. Right there. This is live.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I didn't have to do anything. I'm hands off. This is all fully automated. And now I can say, okay, if it crosses in, like I created this alarm zone, so this just user defined alarm zone on the map. I can say, right now I'm not alarming on this person because they're staying where they're supposed to be staying on the path. But now if that person goes across into that alarm zone, it'll automatically alarm, flash, beep, send off messages, all kinds of stuff. We can even have it, cue a siren or a talk down, message or things like that.
It even provides their speed. That's impressive as well.
Oh yeah, speed. We got lots of metadata on it. If we go into, I usually don't display all of that just because it's a lot of information, but we have, how long they've traveled, their duration, the speed, the radar cross section. So we get us all this metadata that allows us to determine, okay, is this a target of interest? Is it a drone? Is it a person? What do we need to do about it? how fast is it coming in? We have all that information.
Gotcha.
Altitude.
And what kind of systems or sites do you think this would best be served to protect? Are we going to see these at things like critical infrastructure sites?
Already do. Yeah, that's been our business. Like I was saying, since 2013, we're at the majority of the top tier substations that provide the power to the national grid. Also, we're at airports, ports, regular ports, oil and gas. Yeah, just you think of anything that's really data centers, anything that keeps our society running. They need to know and see what's happening around them, and that's what we do. We help provide that situation awareness, enhance the capability of their existing systems, make those cameras smarter and better, because now we're not narrow focused to one little slice. We can see this with this one radar system. This is one radar, which let me show you how the size of it. This is the radar right here. It's
Quite
about the
small.
size of a paperback book. It weighs 1.5 pounds, consumes 8 watts of power. And with that, we're monitoring that whole big area. It's like 40 acres of radar coverage in this one little box.
And is there, so I see on the screen there too, it looks like it's showing you where the camera is and kind of the angle that it's recording from. So if there was a second one, which one would it show you both angles?
Absolutely. I would just show you, because I'll share this one. Here's our office. So this is another one. Right now we've got a drone tag on the top of our building that we're testing. So this is like the IDs that is broadcast by the drones. We're picking that up right here. So you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cameras around our site on this, and you can see all the different areas that they're looking at. So this is a more, say, typical type situation where you got multiple radars, multiple cameras, all integrated into a single view, which monitors the whole thing, 360 degrees all the way around, but integrates all this together.
Right. Okay.
Well, drones was one of the big things we wanted to talk about.
I love to talk about drones.
Awesome. Can you start off, what's a dark drone? And then maybe on a secondary note, it seems like defensive systems are a lot harder to integrate in and stop drone technology. So what's a dark drone, and how do we stop them?
Yeah, so dark drones are drones that aren't emitting RF. And RF, I mean radio waves, right? For many type of cases. Oh, here we go. We got somebody leaving to go home tonight. So dark drones are no emissions whatsoever. So that means that they're flying autonomously or they're being piloted by fly-by-wire. And in the case that we're seeing a lot happening in Ukraine and Russia, but it's spreading, is these fiber optic guided drones. Have you heard of those that are guided by a fiber optic cable?
Yeah.
Those are kind of like that's the next big thing is, and I call them fog drones for short, fiber optic guided drones. So fog drones. These fog drones, they're carrying this cable. It's a fiber optic cable, really thin piece of glass that's pretty strong, and they can get 60 kilometer now cables, and they're communicating with the drone, and the pilot is still using FPV goggles, and so they can pilot wherever it is. You can't jam them. You can't sense them with an RF sensor. You can only pick them up with like radar, maybe acoustic to pick up the blades or actually see it. And it's crazy. I mean, I show people this because this is Alibaba, and on Alibaba here you can buy a fiber optic drone kit, from $180 to $850. Of course, my thing just my browser just crashed on Alibaba. It's like, okay, didn't like Alibaba, but it's great. It's now available easily. Anybody can order this stuff. So that's what a dark drone is. Dark drones just fly without using RF. And did you want me to address more of the second part of that question about what can we do about it?
Yeah. Is there anything we can do about it?
Yeah. Well, one was we can detect them. So I was mentioning kind of earlier, there's a couple of ways that we can detect. They're still making some sound. So there's acoustic sensors, but usually those are really short range, a few hundred feet at best. And then they're highly affected by environmental factors like rain and wind and snow and all those kind of things. So acoustics are more like point sensors. One thing I saw that Ukraine is using is they're using these old cell phones they're putting out there, and they'll hear a Shahed, a large drone flying overhead, and they'll say, okay, we got a ping. They can't say exactly where it is, but they'll know it's in this vicinity. The second way to detect them is radar. And radar was built for tracking aircraft from the very beginning. In World War II, radar was developed so we can track aircraft, and that's what we're doing. We're building these small, radar systems like this one here behind me is specifically designed to track these small drones, and that one right there will track a small drone, a 3 kilogram. That's like about 8 pound drone out to 1,500 feet. So still, pretty good range. And it can track up to 50 of them simultaneously. So we can detect them with radar. Now you detect them, you can cue something on target. What can you do about it? Jamming them is not going to work. That'll work for the wirely, the regular off-the-shelf drones. You can jam their command and control signal, their wireless signal. You can jam that, or you can jam their GPS. But these dark drones, especially the fiber optic drones, they're impervious to jamming. You can't jam them. So then you got to do something else. So you either have a drone on drone, you shoot it down, you have a net. You have to do some physical response. Even guys running around cutting the wires. But you got to physically do something to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but drones in the U.S. in particular are seen as aircraft, right? So if a local airport can't just shoot it down?
No. There has been some developments just this year in terms of the authority of who can do what to a drone to mitigate them. And as part of getting ready for the FIFA World Cup, there was a law passed in the National Defense Authorization Act in January that said local law enforcement, state, local, tribal law enforcement could mitigate drones if they got, as part of this pilot program, if they got certified from one of the federal agencies, which is really being run by the FBI. And so they can now mitigate drones. They can, if they go through the program, they get certified, they can say, okay, you can use this, like right now they're using still a lot of jammers, because most of the drones they deal with are people flying commercial off-the-shelf drones, and the jammers are effective against them. So that means that local law enforcement can use reasonable force against drones where they're endangering people or property. So that's new. That's just happened. But generally speaking, no. Private citizens, even even the airport operators, even the electrical utilities can't legally mitigate or stop a drone.
Now, do you think regulators in Washington are on top of this? Are they making the appropriate changes?
Well, it's a work in progress, right? It's happening. This was a major change this year with the NDAA Act that was passed. This is the first time that local law enforcement had any chance of or any legal authority to do this. So this is big. And there's other bills in place, like not in place, that are in process. There's one that's being sponsored by Tom Cotton out of Arkansas to allow the critical infrastructure operators, things like data centers and electrical utilities, to also have similar authority to mitigate drones around their facilities. So it's in process. It's being debated. So at least it's happening. I've been in this business, I've been doing counter drone since 2010, and now I'm seeing that things are moving. So it is changing.
Well, that's good. And more from the military perspective of it, do you think the U.S. military is taking the appropriate steps to prepare for kind of a new way of war?
Yeah. Well, they're working on it. They're starting to put aside large sums of money to purchase drones, small drones in particular, train the war fighters on those drones. They are starting to bring together, they've got this group called JIADF, which is tasked with kind of like a lot of the counter drone programs. So there's quite a few different counter drone programs, but you can see it in the news. It's happening all over the place. Iran, of course, is showing here's what happens when you have a lot of really cheap drones that you can fly for 1,500 kilometers, 1,000 miles, and attack your neighboring countries with a $20,000 guided missile, right? 20 grand. And so we got to move fast, and we've got to find ways to cost effectively counter those type of threats. So we got work to do.
And on the offensive side, do you think we should adopt those cheaper drones? We have things like the Reaper drones, but those are millions of dollars. Are we going to cheap drones?
The military is adopting the cheaper drones. They're putting out requests for bids. They're putting RFPs out for 5,000, 10,000 of these drones at more of $2,000 to $5,000 a pop. So they're trying to buy large quantities of cheaper drones because they're seeing that's the main battle weapon between Russia and Ukraine. It's not the really big stuff. It's the small drones, fiber optic drones that are attacking the troops and the vehicles. That's the main battle weapon. And they're seeing it. They're learning, and they're trying to buy and get ready for that. Are we there yet? Not quite, but at least we're moving.
Yeah, we talked about in our last episode that Ukraine said 90% of Russian casualties come from unmanned systems.
Oh, yeah, I totally believe that.
I guess this will probably be the last question for you, but are there any big gaps in protection for U.S. infrastructure?
Oh, yes.
Are we protecting enough critical infrastructure?
No, we're not. Like I was just saying, okay, well, we can use like a remote drone ID sensor, and we can, for the commercial off-the-shelf drones, we can track them, we can get their ID, we can even say what the pilot is. But they can't really do much else besides call the police to go to see the pilot, which is something. But if someone was actually sending in a drone with explosives or something else into somewhere, they don't have any capabilities to stop it. They don't have any authority to stop it. We have the technology. The technology is here. It's been here for a while, but they don't have the authority to do it. And that's why I was talking about that bill with Tom Cotton from Arkansas, because he's trying to say, okay, we need to give that same type of capability to our critical infrastructure operators, because if someone does it, we don't have, we have sites out there, quite a few that have detection, but we don't have the mitigation piece. That's the gap. That's what everybody needs to push their representatives and say, hey, look, get on board with this, this Tom Cotton bill on, critical infrastructure airspace systems, because it matters. It's like, we have a fence that stops at maybe 12 feet. So 12 feet up, you're unprotected. What do you got there? Well, what do you have to stop anything now? And it's like, a few $100s, you can buy a off the shelf drone and fly it into that area, and they have nothing to stop it. That's our gap.
All right. What are the legal consequences for something? Just a regular person just goes and buys a drone and just starts flying it somewhere they're not supposed to be flying it. What happens to someone that does that?
So there's a number of different regulations to cover that. Like the FAA can fine them up to $250,000. So $250,000. They can go fines up to that. Depends on how many people are being endangered, what they're doing. There are other, in different states, they'll have different laws. Like in Utah, I think they've got a law that says if you're flying around like a wildfire, because they're trying to drop fire retardant and stuff like that, it could be endangering the pilots and everybody else for that matter. They can fine like up to $15,000 for a violation of that nature. So yeah.
And how difficult is it to track them down?
Well, not too difficult if they're flying a commercial off-the-shelf drone. Let's see, I'll pull this up and show you. Here is that with the remote drone ID, we can show their GPS location like precisely, like within a few meters or like few feet. It's really pretty good on how we're able to do that. So let me pull up some drone pilots here over the last little while, and I can show you some examples of that. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so this is got right here. So this was over by our office. We got our remote drone ID sensor right there. You can see its serial number, so we can pull off their serial number, which is good for the police and doing forensics. And right there, that's the pilot. This is where the pilot was. So, with pretty good accuracy, and you can see they're kind of randomly flying the drone around here in this area. You can see, oh yeah, there you can send the police out to that location to go talk to them.
Okay.
Are there a lot of, I would assume there's a lot of like prisons and jails that are using this technology.
Yeah, that is one of those areas where detection is good for prisons, because then they know if they're coming in dropping contraband. I mean, hey, they've got drone, if you wonder if there's drone delivery in the United States, it's to the prisons.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Prisons have drone delivery. I mean, I saw one article, it was just kind of hilarious, is that they dropped in a whole like Christmas dinner. It was like crab, T-bone steak, cigarettes. I mean, the whole thing coming in. It was funny. I mean, it was funny because of what they were delivering into the prison. Of course, that's not too bad considering what they're really normally delivering, cell phones, drugs, even, weapons. But yeah, prisons are adopting this technology pretty rapidly.
That's cool. And I know you said earlier too, I saw as well, they were using it at the stadiums for the World Cup and things like that. So
yeah, that's been a big one. And there's been lots of interdictions of people flying drones where they shouldn't be around, these World Cup events and just stadiums in general. I mean, that is not a place where you should be flying a drone. Just don't do it.
Well, sounds good. I think that's pretty much all we got.
Okay. Well,
thanks for joining us.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Thanks for joining us.
Oh yeah.
Very insightful.
Well, hopefully this is informative, gets people a little bit, a little bit more information about what's out there, what to do, what not to do, and what we can do. And also, when they have the chance to say something to their Congress people, their senators, let them know, yeah, this is something that's important. We need to protect our critical infrastructure, and we need to change the regulations so that they can do something about it. So it's not too late. Let's not just wait till something bad really happens. Let's do something now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Logan. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye. That was our interview with Logan Harris on July 8th. It was great to have someone on who could share some insights into new technology and how to prepare for and defend it. And of course, our biggest thanks to Logan for spending some time with us.
Yeah, it was really cool to see some of the stuff that he was showing us on the screen there. Well, now that we have the Logan Harris interview out of the way, let's get into the rest of the show. The 5-day preliminary hearing for 23-year-old Tyler Robinson is currently underway in Provo, Utah, having started on Monday, July 6th. The state is presenting its case to Judge Tony Graf to establish sufficient probable cause to head to trial for the September 10th, 2025 assassination of Charlie Kirk at the Utah Valley University. Prosecutors are seeking the death penalty, and the initial days of the hearing have centered on tight security, emotional family appearances, and foundational evidence. Prosecutors played detailed surveillance footage tracking Robinson's movements on the day of the shooting. The state's investigators testified that video shows a suspect matching Robinson's description, arriving at a UVU parking garage in a gray Dodge Charger, changing clothes, and then carrying a backpack. Further video showed the individual walking with a noticeable limp, climbing stairs, and crawling toward a corner on the roof of the UVU Lossy Center right before the shot was fired. On-scene law enforcement testified to finding a quote-unquote sniper pad on the rooftop. An FBI DNA analyst testified on Tuesday regarding genetic material found on items recovered from the scene. According to prosecutors, DNA consistent with Robinson's was found on the rifle's trigger, a fired cartridge casing, unfired rounds, and a towel. The defense has countered by challenging the overall fallibility and potential for human error in DNA collection and testing. A core piece of the state's case includes an alleged confession note Robinson left for his former roommate and romantic partner Lance Twiggs, which reportedly read, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it," end quote. The defense strongly objected to the judge allowing video-recorded hearsay testimony from Twiggs rather than requiring him to appear in person for cross-examination, but the judge denied their request to force his in-person attendance. The gallery has been highly emotionally charged, with both Robinson's parents and the Kirk family sitting on opposite sides of the room. Donald Trump Jr. has also been in attendance supporting the Kirk family. Robinson faces 10 total counts, including aggravated murder. Because the legal threshold to advance a case to trial at a preliminary hearing is very low, it is widely expected that the judge will rule the case will proceed to trial once the hearing concludes at the end of the week. Now, this is basically standard procedure at this point. Everyone who gets arrested gets a preliminary hearing. The preliminary hearing means nothing. It's all about probable cause, and given all the evidence they have, I'm sure they have more than enough probable cause to arrest him. I feel absolutely gutted for Erica Kirk, though, to have to sit there and listen to all that and remember the awful way that Charlie was killed. That's the worst part.
Yeah, the downside, of course, to all of these trials is the family has to sit there and relive all the details of their husband and father being killed. It's very tough on the Kirk family, but this is what has to happen for justice to be served. Robinson still deserves a fair trial, despite being accused of some horrendous things. Given all the evidence out there, it is tough to see this not going to trial. A confession to a friend is something that will be very moving. DNA at the scene is also going to be tough for the defense to counter. There weren't many people on the roof, so while you can say there are other people around, those people aren't on the roof with a rifle, and your DNA is on the trigger.
Yeah, I will say it is nice as well hearing all the stuff that Candace Owens has been saying getting debunked live for everyone to see. You know, she said, I think it was 3 or 4 days ago, she said in an interview that Tyler Robinson wasn't even on the UVU campus, that he's never been there before. And then we saw in the preliminary hearing several pieces of evidence proving that he was there. Multiple times he was there.
And that he openly admitted to some family members and friends that he was the one that took the shot.
Yeah. So, Candace Owens, it is time. Please, I beg you. I used to be such a fan. Please stop and move on. Now, let's move right along here. We will have some more updates on the Tyler Robinson case because it's supposed to be 5 days. Let's move on to Iran. President Trump says the ceasefire is effectively over. He called it a waste of time and accused Tehran of negotiating in bad faith. His comments come after the U.S. struck more than 80 Iranian targets and revoked a license allowing Iranian oil sales. We've been saying that Iran is not negotiating in good faith for weeks. They are terrorists. Of course, they're not keeping their word. President Trump needs to drop the hammer. This has to end, and the only way it's going to end at this point is to cripple them. I'm honestly surprised that Trump has let them get away with it for this long.
I understand the process Trump was going through. Of course, you're hoping for a negotiated settlement, but you had to know the odds of that were very low, and he did let this drag on far longer than it needed to. CENTCOM has come out and said they took out things like air defense systems, radar sites, command and control positions, and boats that were near the Strait of Hormuz. This was all in response to Iran shooting at 3 commercial ships transiting through the strait. Trump, of course, was going to hit them harder than their hits were. Terrorists really only respond to strength, which is why you have to show them you aren't messing around. We have been saying for months that this was not going to end peacefully, and it really looks like we will end up being right. This memorandum of understanding that Trump and Iran signed was always going to fall apart. Iran was still looking for any bit of leverage they could get with the hopes they could get more out of the U.S. in negotiations. I don't think Trump will want to return to the early days where thousands of missiles were flying, because that would bring the price of oil back up. Crude oil is around $78 a barrel now, which is way lower than the highs we saw, which were in the 120s. High oil prices mean high inflation. We are coming up on an election, keep that in mind. And oil prices affect everything, from food to the gas you put in your car. Trump does want this over, and the pressure is only going up. I just don't think Trump will have any other options when it comes to ending this war for good. He negotiated with terrorists, and that's a dangerous game to play.
If you were the president at this point, after everything that's happened, and you are sitting in Donald Trump's shoes right now, what would be your next move? How would you end this war?
I would send those ships right back to blockading all their ports. You can really tighten the screws on them here economically. We've talked about Iran's economic position before. They're not doing so well. Oil is about the only thing they have to sell, and we can cut that off. Also, continue targeting military sites. Continue finding their launchers that launch missiles and drones. Keep taking them out. This goes back to what we heard Truman telling the Japanese at the end of World War II. Unconditional surrender. You accept our terms, or we keep shooting. That is what Trump should do.
Yeah, I agree. The negotiating times are over. It should be, hey, this is how it's going to go. And if that's not okay with you, we're going to keep shooting.
We gave it 2 months to negotiate. It's fair that he tried.
Yeah.
But we were right to have low expectations for it.
Yep. At this point, he should be saying, I tried to tell you. FAFO, right?
That's right.
All right, well, let's get to the end of the show here. It is time for The Feed. This is the segment where we take all the funny videos we saw on our social media this week, and we break them down one by one. So let's get started. Here is clip number 1.
Do you identify as a lesbian?
Yes.
Do you only date female people?
Female as in born, assigned female at birth?
Yes.
No, I date trans women as well.
Okay, so you're bi.
No.
Bisexual?
No, I'm not bisexual. I'm a lesbian.
Okay. I gotcha. Okay. When did you realize you were a lesbian?
I think I've always known, but it really clicked for me when I transitioned and I was like, oh, I'm a woman. And I like women differently than I thought I did when I thought I was a straight guy.
Now, just for some context for the people that are listening, that's a dude talking. He's not a lesbian. He's straight. He's definitely mixed with some weird. He's a weird dude who thinks he's a girl, but he likes women, which is just the long way of saying that he's a straight man.
He's screwed up in the head is what he is.
Yeah.
I wonder how hard life is to live when there's that much confusion going on in your head. Day-to-day tasks must be impossible for him.
Yeah, when you have a hard time figuring out what your gender is, yikes.
You can't get the basic stuff correct. Everything else would be very difficult.
All right, let's get to clip number 2.
Did you know that he is mandated for all Christians in the United States to pray 1 hour a week? That's sad. Oh, see, they don't want to believe that. They want to believe what their mama and them told them. They drunk uncle who think he's an expert on world affairs. They want to believe what the Democrats tell them. You ever notice that Donald Trump wasn't a racist until he became president? I always joke and say Donald Trump was friends with black people I don't even like. He was never racist. Did you know that him and why do you think Jesse Jackson been so quiet? When Jesse Jackson was going to run for president, Donald Trump was also going to run for president. I got the video. They interviewed Trump. You going to run against Jesse? Guess what he said? No, he said, that's my close friend, so I'm going to back out and I'll support him. They don't know this stuff. All they know is what the idiots on social media are saying and what the news media says. This man that is so evil is totally against abortion. This man that is so evil has reversed the mandate that women can go in a girl's bathroom, that women can be. He's reversed all of that.
Men could go in a girl's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you know that he's mandated for the HBCUs to get $255 million a year, permanent funding that they never got before? HBCUs were the only organization that had to beg money from the government every year. When Donald Trump found that out, he gave them equal status to Yale and, what's the other one? Harvard, permanently, even after he leaves. He leaves. They don't know that. They don't know about the First Step Act. All of these things that he created so that men that are incarcerated can get a second chance when they got out of jail, and 90% of the people it affects are black men. Oh, I can just play around. I mean, why is it? See, guess what? Guess what they never talk about when it comes to his results. Did you know what we just did with Venezuela? Yeah. Well, I've been saying for years, all you got to do is start fighting a war against these drug dealers and they're stopped. So he decided to do it. Did you know that after they took the president and flew him past the Statue of Liberty, that they went back to the Venezuelan government and said, now we're going to start bombing you until you let those 800 pastors out of jail that the Venezuelan president put in jail? This is the type of stuff this man is doing in private. So men who have wisdom, we know this. People who watch reality TV, they don't. Because they on social media just looking up stupid stuff by stupid people all day long. These people don't even know how to do research. They just go with somebody put a video, Trump is a racist. That's right. He's a racist. Okay, you keep believing that. So again, that's just 1%. I just taught a whole message on showing them, him and Elon Musk. For all your viewers, I dare you to go on doge.gov, doge.gov, and look at the things that they canceled. You won't be able to get through February of last year without being offended. Well, how many was it? 200 No. In the first 6 months last year, they canceled 10,400 contracts. They canceled 10,400 contracts that they were using with your tax money to fund. You know what one of them was? How to study turning rats, how to make them transvestite.
I love this clip. He says it in a way that resonates so well. We say all the time that no one called Trump a racist until he said he was a Republican. As soon as he put an R next to his name, that's when he became a racist. He was friends with everyone, and everyone loved him. Now his haters call him racist, even though he's done more for them than Democrats ever did.
Trump was winning awards from the black community before he said he was going to run for president. Think back to 2015 when Trump said he was thinking about it. They all laughed at him. But the moment he actually put that R next to his name, he was Adolf Hitler. They hated him from that moment on. He was no longer seen as one of them.
All right, let's get to clip number 3.
I hate all crime. I hate all murder. I hate all killing.
We're not talking about black on black crime,
No,
though.
you only want to talk about white crime.
Because it's spurned by white supremacy. So let's talk about that. White supremacy is an issue in this country.
Does white supremacy cause black people to kill their own at a larger disproportional rate than any other race?
So first of all, what you're saying is really racist, and that sort of
It's
shit.
actually just statistically and factually correct. It's
Show me your
stats aren't
statistics.
I mean, the FBI has done studies on.
Show me your statistics.
I'm not the FBI. You could just Google them. You can go fact check me later and tag me on Instagram and make a video and say that I lied.
Yeah.
Stats are not racist. So if I say, statistically, black people kill more black people than white people kill black people, that's just a fact.
But
And I
white
think
people are
it's
killing
a
black
tragedy.
people out of white supremacist ideals. There is a difference.
So what do
there.
we do? What do we do about this white supremacy that's going on?
I don't know, maybe first and foremost get rid of the president that's bringing it out of people, bringing
Trump
it to
is
the
bringing
forefront.
white supremacy out of people.
He is bombing Lebanon.
So bombing Lebanon is because of white supremacy.
Honey, you have a bachelor's degree?
Yeah, in aerospace management.
Oh my God.
I'm a
okay.
preacher, not a political activist. I want you to teach me right now
First of all-
how bombing Lebanon influences white supremacy in America, causing
Because we are
white on
killing
black crime.
black and brown people because they are black and brown, because they are not white Christians. This is the campaign that is being led.
That's why it's
and
happening.
the more that you fool yourself and the more you try to fool college students into this, the more you spread information that continues to perpetuate white supremacy, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
All right. Lauren, right? Thank you so much.
Now, that lady seems like a real treat. He kept asking her to explain what she was talking about, and she just couldn't. She just jumped to the next talking point she heard from some other liberal nut online.
She can't explain it. She has no idea how the real world works. The left does love to say statistics are racist if they point out something negative towards one of their own groups. Stats and facts are not racist. But this woman lives in an echo chamber where liberal beliefs are thrown around and never challenged.
All right, and here is our last clip.
PSA for conservatives. When you meet a trans person, don't be a bigot. Just get to know them. Ask them their hobbies or if they have a dog. And if they have a dog, is it a boy or a girl? And then ask, how can you tell?
Yeah, it's funny how it's only humans who have gender on a spectrum and humans can pick and choose which gender they are, but nothing else. But hey, these are the people that say trust the science.
Yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite clips. This simplicity of it is just perfect. And the way Xavier says it at the end, too. How can you tell?
That's one of those easy checkmates.
Uh-huh. All right, everyone. That is it for episode 71 of the Republic Brothers podcast. We hope you enjoyed the Logan Harris interview. Before you click away, please hit the subscribe or follow button. New episodes drop every Monday and Thursday. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.